Hello, everybody. It's a Sunday night here. And me and Big Vito are here. This is the Sunday night we usually tape Getting Color. We usually air it Monday on the Realm Network, Tuesday on Podcast One. And Vito, how you doing, my man?
I am doing fine. How's everybody out there? Pop variety of hard shots to the body, Getting Color, the Big Vito brand, the Vince Russo brand, and we're doing it live, baby, live. Vince, why don't you kick off what you were talking about, and let's get the show underway.
Vito, you know what I've never asked you, bro? This is completely off the record. When I first met you back in 1991-ish, you were completely bald back then. How old were you in 1991, bro?
What are you talking about? 24, 25?
24, 25. Bro, when did you first shave your head?
Well, I had the army. That's when I shaved it when I was 18, and then I came home. I tried the hair thing, and then I just said, you know what? I'm just gonna go bald. I think before I started wrestling, I used to have a mohawk, a blonde mohawk, like Brian Bosworth
Are you
for a while.
serious, bro? You used to have a blonde freaking mohawk.
Like Brian Bosworth, and I used to bounce in the clubs with the mohawk,
Holy crap.
dating.
And it was dyed bleach blonde, bro.
Oxide, blow dry it every day, and then I used to go to the
Oh
barber once a
God.
week to have him trim around it and make sure everything was like tight with it. It is the hardest thing on the market, and the girls loved it.
Bro, do you have a picture of that anywhere?
I don't. I definitely
Oh,
don't.
geez, I would have loved to see that. All right, Vito, listen, we're going to have a very serious conversation tonight. And I didn't even smarten you up about the conversation, but, bro, I can rely on you for this, right? This show is called Getting Color, where we talk about things that are somewhat taboo in the wrestling industry, things that many people don't talk about. And, bro, listen, things that I talk about and I bring up, and I'll tell you why, Vito. I'm not trying to break kayfabe or anything like that. The topics I bring up here, bro, because they are taboo and they're very rarely spoken about, they're interesting to me. And that's why I love when I get somebody on this show with your knowledge, bro. And I know I can ask things that, nobody ever really spoke about. And things that, some things I was kept in the dark about that really interest me to this day. The underlinings of professional wrestling. We're going to get into something very interesting today, and I know you're going to be honest with me. But before we do, bro, I got to talk about my bookie. Now, if you're watching the games, it's time to start making money. My bookie is the industry-leading website that hooks you up for all your betting needs. And with their great odds, fast payouts, and decades of expertise, you can bet with confidence. Your team doesn't even have to win. They just have to cover the spread. What are you waiting for? Lay down some cash and win big today. Or if you know your team sucks, do yourself a favor and bet against them. If they lose, you'll make money. If they win, you'll still be happy. I'm talking about my bookie, where your bet is just as important as who you're betting on. That's why I'm urging you to make your way to my bookie. I trust them, but you don't have to take my word for it. Check them out yourself. They have in-game live betting and a mobile site that makes wagering on the go easier than ever. You can also check out their online casino if you'd rather just play a few hands or blackjack or roll the dice in craps. But I'm going to tell you right now, you got to go to my bookie. Join now, and my bookie will match your deposit with up to 100% bonus. Use the promo code VINCE, VINCE, to activate offers. Visit mybookie.ag today. That's mybookie.ag today. You play, you win, you get paid. Vito LaGrasso.
Yes.
I think we talk about some very important things on this show. And Vito, I'm going to be honest with you. Some of the things we talk about on this show, I know a lot of the boys listen to the show. And I promise you, they probably are not happy with some of the things we talk about. However, bro, I talk about things that I think are extremely, extremely important in professional wrestling. Bro, I talk about things that I really think could save lives, and it's that important. And that's why I like talking about things like this, things that many sites don't discuss. You know, they talk about, you know, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. Whoopity do. I want to talk about freaking life.
I tell you, Vin, you bring up a good point, you know, and I just want to say this. I've had this on my plate for about a week now, and I got to say this to all the people out there. And I know you have a lot of good subjects we talk about, and it talks about real life, and you know, and it has to do with wrestling. Some doesn't, but it all comes full circle. You know, guys, when you talk about podcasting, I wasn't a big podcaster. And I do this show because I'm with my friend and we talk about good stuff. I'm proud about is that I'm proud that we do this show and we do the concept we do. We're a couple of 50-year-old guys. We had our heyday in the sun. Right now we get our joys of talking about wrestling and what's real because now we have the experience to talk about it. We're not two 50-year-old guys bashing guys or mentioning names on our podcast. We handle ourselves with dignity and pride. We're not out on stage doing any rude and crude things in front of women and children. And that's what I like most about this show is that we keep it real. We have a sense of dignity. Our families listen to this. Kids listen to this. The fans listen to the show. And that's what I'm most proud about is that it's a show that you can listen to. There's nobody who'd give us nobody would mock us for doing anything or mentioning names to get ratings or doing anything. You know where the ratings come from? People, the ratings come from Vince Russo and Vito LaGrasso, and that's how we do our show. We get a bunch of downloads, 35,000 a week just to listen to this show. I didn't really know about podcasting until, you know, I started doing it, and I find out a lot of stuff. And, you know, from the feedback I get from the people out there, I get better and better at it. The people like the way I handle myself. You know, Vince has been doing this a long time. He's an old pro. You know, he gives me some pointers every now and then. Try to follow the script. But, you know, people, we do this because of you. And I thank you for all the feedback. And just know, guys, that this show is not just about, you know, talking trash or, you know, bashing people or saying things. This is a real life show with a real life concept. And that's what brings us to, you know, having this kind of popularity, whether it's good or bad, at least the fans and the people out there keep it respectful. And that's what we appreciate the most. Go ahead, Vince.
And Vito, I'm glad you bring that up because I never talk about this, but I'm just going to say this once and then I'm going to move on. Vito brought up that maybe on podcast one, you know, like, you know, 30, bro, we'll get like between 35,000 to 55,000, 60,000. We'll get that many people listen to, you know, the brand, you know, a day. And of course, those numbers constantly grow because people don't listen to the show right away. But my point is, bro, and I'm glad Vito said it. We don't bullshit about our numbers, bro. I tell you what our numbers are. And listen, it's real simple, bro. Anybody can look at my Twitter followers. They can look at Vito's Twitter followers. Bro, I got about 51,000 Twitter followers. I have an average of about 50,000 listeners per show. So it's pretty even with the people that follow Vince Russo and the people that listen to the show. Okay, when you got somebody that has less than 50,000 Twitter followers, bro, I promise you, they're not doing 250,000 downloads and 500,000 downloads and whatever other BS they spew out, because anybody can freaking inflate numbers, bro. Tracking numbers is very, very, very difficult to do. And you know what? Me and Vito don't come on here and talk about numbers. Oh, yeah, we got 250,000, blah, blah, blah. Because you know what, bro? That's nonsense. I don't care if 25,000 people listen to our show, 250,000 people, or 25 people. It doesn't matter to me. But one thing about our show with me and Vito is we're not going to sit here. We're not going to put ourselves over with war stories from the glory days and all the stuff we did. And that's not what this is about. This is about important stuff. I want to cover important issues. And tonight may be the most important. Vito, I got to ask you a couple questions up front, because I want to have a thorough understanding of it. And I'm not interested in dollars and cents. I'm more interested in structure. And I hope you don't mind telling me. I'm going to talk about ECW, then I'm going to go to WCW, I'm going to go to WWF, the order in which you played. ECW, bro, your pay scale, did you get paid per shot at ECW?
Yes, I got paid per show.
Okay,
go ahead.
Go ahead, Vito. Go ahead.
I got paid at ECW per show, and I had to earn my right to fly to towns. And once I earned a full-time job at ECW to fly, I flew. What happened before that? I drove everywhere I went, just like everybody else. And then when you make the permanent roster, you get a plane ticket and you're allowed to fly with the team. So that was basically the concept. There were no freebies in ECW. You made your per night. You got your plane ticket. You still had to get a rented car. You still travel with the guys. And, you had a good time.
So, Vito, under that structure at ECW, because I just want to get my facts straight, because, bro, as a shoot, I don't know. Under that pay structure at ECW, if you're booked to work and you sustain an injury and you can't make the shot, you don't get paid, right?
Yes, absolutely true.
WCW now, explain to me the contract there. I think that was more of a guaranteed contract. So, Vito, what I'm getting at is this. ECW, you're getting paid per shot. You get hurt, you can't work, you miss the shot, you don't get paid. What's the situation when you go to WCW?
At WCW, when I got my contract, I talked to JJ Dillon, and he made me an offer. There was some back and forth, and I got a base scale guarantee. Being that I was in the business for a while, and I talked to JJ, and I said I'd like to be on every show, and I told him I was a hard worker, and he already knew that. He said, Vito, I'm going to make you a bonus plan. I asked him what was that. He says, listen, I'm going to give you the opportunity to make more money. He says, I'm going to give you a bonus after 100 appearances. And after that, on top of your guarantee, you will get X amount of dollars for every show you work. Okay. I worked every show in WCW because I liked to work. It wasn't as much about the money, but I worked, I got my hotel paid, and I had to rent a car.
All right, let me stop you right there. So ECW getting paid per shot. WCW guaranteed contract, you get bonused after 100 dates, right?
Right.
Okay, let's move to WWF. What was that structure?
You got a base guarantee. You worked those shows, and you didn't get a hotel, and you didn't get a rented car. You had to pay for it out of your pocket. When you made royalties, if you're on video games or you did extra, you got that either on a weekly basis at the end of the year as like having a bank account that you get. So what I did was I lived off my guarantee, and I made sure I had a certain amount to live on every week. And then it was like having a secret bank account that you don't touch, where if I made the video game, I did extra appearances, I did extra shots. It was put in escrow for me. And then at the end of the year, I would get a check.
Okay, Vito, to explain to everybody at home, just so they're crystal clear, when you talk about a base guarantee with the WWE, that means that you were paid X amount of dollars no matter how much you worked, correct?
Correct.
What happens if, okay, so you were paid X, okay, bro, you were paid X amount of dollars whether you worked 10 dates or 100 dates.
Right.
Okay. All right. Wow, three very different contracts, huh, bro?
It's three different concepts. One is well, and then it goes to territories. Now, when I worked for Jerry Lawler in USWA, okay, we got paid uh, $40 a night, and then we got a percentage of the house. So that's the old way of booking, where you get a small downside of what you made per day, so you get travel money, and then you got a percentage of the house. So now, if you're working off the house every night with the guys, 5 days a week, you knew you were going to get 200 bucks, and then what you made on top of that for the house shows, because you were working 5 nights a week. When I wrestled for Carlos Colon, you were paid we made a certain guarantee per week. We worked 5 days a week, and if there were more shows, you still only got the 5 days a week. You got your 5 day pay, but you had to pay for your own hotel, pay for your own trans. Most of the times in Puerto Rico, you used to get a ride by the office or something if you didn't have one. And in Memphis, you had to really, the guys kind of buddied up and everybody took care of each other the way it used to be. So, I mean, it was pretty cool.
Vito,
And there's another two ways that you did it.
when you talk about a base guarantee at the WWE, so you were guaranteed, okay, you had to work X amount of matches or X amount of dates to make a guarantee of X amount of dollars?
No, it's like, okay, my guarantee for the year was $100,000, right? So I knew for that $100,000, I was going to work for the WWE. If I made any extra money off of house shows or bonus money or anything, I was paid that on top of what I was. So if I had merchandise, if I had appearance money, if I had pay-per-view money, if I had any bonus money for doing something extra for the office, that was unpaid on top of the hundred thousand
So Vito,
dollars.
if you got hurt on their dime in the ring, you got hurt, you were still paid that guarantee.
You were paid the guarantee for 30 days, and then I believe that your pay was cut in half. Then, from what I heard from a lot of guys who were injured, if you were out for an extended period of time, you would have to work to pay back the money that they paid you to pay for your medical expenses and the cost of them having you on the roster while you were injured.
Well, okay, Vito, here's what I'm getting at. And I'm glad we're having this conversation, bro, because it was always danced around and I never got to the bottom of it. Bro, I cannot sit here and tell you how many guys I worked with, close friends of mine that battled with addiction to prescription medication. And bro, primarily we're talking about painkillers. Because the nightly torture you guys put your body through with travel on top of that and going overseas and working so many dates out of the year, the only way you could keep your body going and just be able to handle the pain is through painkillers. Now, Vito, you're telling me I was never, as a booker, Vito, as a writer, I could tell you with any company I never worked for, I was never, from a writing perspective, I'm talking about a sheer writing perspective, bro, not when it got beyond me with talent relations and contracts and money. I can tell you when Vince Russo was booking, no matter where it was, if somebody was legitimately hurt, that was never held against them as far as I was concerned, and the writing. So basically, if somebody was hurt, I'd get a heads up that they were hurt. I'd get a ballpark of how long they'd be out. We'd figure out, the creative to shelf them. And then, right before they came back, we were given a little heads up, so-and-so is going to return. In other words, what I'm saying, bro, is never once from a creative perspective, if a wrestler got injured, did it affect his push, his return, his spot? basically, you know, we handled it just like a major league roster. A guy got hurt. He was on the shelf. Okay, we'll write him out. Let me know when he's ready, and we'll write him back in. I did not get involved with anything above that. But, bro, what I used to have a hard time with all the time is I knew guys were hurt and they were still working. And I would hear the reason they're still working is they didn't want to lose their spot. So they were working through injuries. And the only way they're going to work through injuries, bro, is to take those pain meds. That's the only way. And I used to say, wait a minute. They're not going to lose their spot creatively if they get hurt. We've never done that. When I worked 5 years with Vince, he never shelved somebody because they got hurt. If somebody got hurt, like I said, bro, just like a major league pitcher, he has an elbow injury. They put him on a 60-day DL. No problem. In 60 days, we write it back in. That's how creative worked. But, bro, what you're really telling me is the way every one of those jobs laid out, and in different ways, from ECW to WCW to WWE, every one of those positions laid out that if you got hurt, no matter what way you looked at it, it did cost you money, correct?
Yes, absolutely. Because that's the way it is. If you're hot on TV and you sustain an injury, you don't know when you're going to get back on TV. You don't know if they're going to push you the way they're going to push you at the time. And that's everybody's fear, because you could lose your spot, your TV time, because it's so far and few between that you have a good run.
But Vito, is that more reality, or is that more paranoia?
It's both. You're paranoid to get hurt. You're paranoid you're going to lose your spot. They make you feel uncomfortable, you know, especially when they're trying to get ratings up. So if you're hot on TV and you got a good program going on and you get hurt, you just cost them money, because now they have to start over and they can't put anybody in the program that you're working, because it's not having the meaning that it does.
And I guess, Vito, I guess this is a big part of it too. I mean, there's the brotherhood of the boys, and there's the camaraderie of the boys. And if you're in a hot angle with somebody and all of a sudden you get hurt, because of the pride of the wrestler, I feel a great deal of that too, is you probably feel like you're letting your opponent down, correct?
Well, you know what? When the guy's hurt and you're working in a program, you know, you got to take care of each other as best you can. And if you know somebody's hurt, you know, I mean, we're not to, let's say a guy's got a leg injury, okay? And I know your leg is hurt, and I'd say, okay, listen, I know your leg is hurt, so let's work the leg tonight. Let's do something where you're not moving around. Let's keep it so you can be effective, but you're still able to make a good match. So you work around what the guy has. You know, I mean, there's been a lot of times when guys are hurt. I've taken care of a lot of guys in the ring, and when guys are hurt, you know, I'll do the brunt of the work. I don't care, because it is the pride, because it is a brotherhood. There's a code there, and you take care of each other. You know what? And the guy doesn't forget the times when you took care of that guy. Some guys do, and some guys forget. But if you're a real wrestler and you're a real person in the ring, there's never a guy out there who ever forgets somebody taking care of you or carrying the bulk of it. You always talk about it, and the guys always know, you know, if something happens, Vito's always got you, man. Vito's a good dude, man. He'll take care of you. Don't worry about it. If you can't do something, don't worry. We'll work it out. Vito will take care of it. You know, I could say that for myself. I could say that for a lot of guys in the business, you know, because that is the way we're brought up, and that's the way it used to be. I don't know how it is today, but
Now, Vito, did you find yourself, you know, and please be honest with me, because I think it's important. I really do. And here's why I'm asking you this, bro, because it's, man, I know the situation, and it just seems like the choices are very, very limited So it really comes down to, okay, these are the choices I have. How do I handle these choices? And it can really come down to a life or death situation. Vito, did you find yourself ever in a situation like that where your body was just saying no, and you knew you needed the meds to be able to keep it going? I mean, did you ever find yourself in that situation?
I am lucky enough to say that I found myself in this situation where I was hurt or I did have injuries. I didn't say anything to the office, but ibuprofen was my best friend. I was never, as you know, Vin, you know me. I was never a pill guy. I'm not a drug guy. I'm not a party guy. I wasn't even a drink guy. That wasn't my thing. I just, I dealt with it as best I could, and depend on the painkillers and all that stuff. But that wasn't me. I can't speak for anybody else but myself, and I wasn't a painkiller guy. I took a lot of aspirin, a lot of Motrin, a lot of Tylenol, a lot of stuff, and I had my aches and pains. I had my head, I had my body, and what could you do? You can't really cry about it. And when you're going
Vito, did
hot,
that stuff really work though? I mean, let's be honest, because my next question is going to be what separates a guy like you, bro, that does the Tylenol, no matter how many Tylenol you have to take, and and all that crap, compared to a guy that's going to take the prescription meds. What's the difference between those two guys? And bro, did over the counter stuff really work for you?
well, I don't. I can't say what the difference is because I was never a guy hooked on the stuff. And if you have an addiction, you can't speak of somebody else's demons because you really don't know what you go through. You could have family members, you could have friends, you could have your girlfriend, your wife be hooked on stuff. You could try to get it to stop and they say they want to, but there's something inside saying they need that fix, they need that feel, whether it puts you in la la land or it makes your body real extra relaxed. Vin, I mean, I don't talk about my own health conditions too much, but every night at 2, 3 in the morning, I wake up. I wake up a couple times a night and I'm popping two ibuprofen 800s because I wake up with a headache every single night. And I can't stop it, but I know I'm getting up, I'm taking two ibuprofen, I'll have a drink, I'll go back to sleep because I have a constant headache all the time. But ibuprofen is what they give me. Do they want me to take other medication? Yes, I tried it, and I got to tell you, people, it is the worst feeling in the
Yeah,
world
tell
to
me
know
that,
that
Vito.
they.
Tell me that. Tell me, walk me through that, bro. Walk me through and walk everybody listening to this show through, trying to do it with ibuprofen and Tylenol and Advil and Aleve, trying to do it that way, and now getting the strong stuff. Tell me about that. What is the difference?
Well, the difference is like when I went to the neurologist and stuff, and I dealt with I finally went to the neurologist. This is Russo over the past 3 years, and he gave me this one pills that made you sleepy, and it was like a mask,
Mm.
and it made you dopey. So I didn't like the way I felt. It was like, wow, this I don't like this. Ain't this is not me. It took me a long time to wake up, and I was like, okay, I was groggy. But finally, I started to, I just didn't like it. So I went back to him and I said, listen, this is not working. I said, it makes me dopey. And I read what it was, I read what it did. He gives me another medication. He said, take both of these together.
Mm.
So I looked at him, I said, Doc, I said, this is going to make me even more dopier than what these are. I said, I don't want to be a zombie. I don't want to walk around like I'm in out in space. I said, I want to get better. And he says, well, try this and then we'll come back. I didn't even try the second one because I went and I looked at the second medication I read up online, which a lot of guys probably don't do. And it was twice as strong as the first one. And I said, if I take both of these, I will walk around like I'm some drug addict and I will never recover. So I was like, no way, not taking it. I can't do this because I can't be like that. So in other words, what I'm telling you is I deal with the pain, I deal with I deal with the headaches, I deal with whatever's going on. And if it's a rainy day and a damp day, of course you get the aches and pains like everybody else. It's not a fairy tale. It's not a myth. It is true. And over the years, you do build up, your aches and pains and arthritis and whatever. And I'm just telling you from a medical standard, and when when you're an athlete, you do feel this more than the average person. I've been an athlete my whole life. So, I mean, when it's a rainy day, when I'm waking up and I'm saying, okay, I feel a little sore today. I look out the window, I see rain or it's damp. I know, okay, so I'll get up, I'll take some more ibuprofen, try to get my body going, take a hot shower, try to loosen up. But I really think for the answer you're looking for, Vince, I think it's a choice. A choice is you taking those meds and feeling okay and out there where you have total relief, or a choice, where you're going to deal with it and you're going to try to get by with it. Some guys like being in La La Land and forgetting everything. I,
Vito,
I
how
can't I
about
can't
this though,
speak for
bro?
them.
How about this? How about, bro, if you're in the ring with somebody out there in La La Land? I mean, isn't that person putting their opponent in some type of jeopardy? I mean, they may be feeling better. They may be fighting the pain. But, bro, and maybe I'm wrong, Vito. I don't know a lot about this, but I'm thinking there's no way you can be as sharp if you're not on the medication. So now, I'm sure it happens. Has it ever happened to you where that came into play during a match? I mean, I saw that happen in matches. I mean, I saw it. Did it ever happen to you where that came into play?
I mean, I've seen guys come in the ring, and you know what? There's a code with wrestling. You don't come in drunk. You don't come in high. You don't come in all smoked up. And if you come in like that, you're putting me at risk and you're putting me in danger. And you try to deal with it. A lot of guys respect it. A lot of guys don't. Either you're going to take care of the guy or you're going to beat the shit out of the guy. And we're talking about old school wrestling, guys. And we're talking about the way it was back then and the way you're brought up. So a lot of guys, if they knew who you're wrestling and if they knew you're dealing with a straight shooter in there, you know that you got to be on top of your game because I'm not coming to babysit you. I'm coming to wrestle you. I want to be the best. So they knew when they wrestled, I'm speaking for myself. When guys wrestled Vito LaGrasso's going 150%, and I want to be the best out there and give the best match. All of my bosses knew that, whether you like me or dislike me, from Vince Russo to Jarrett to Bischoff to Vince himself, John Laurinaitis, Paul Heyman. That's the one thing they could say, Terry Taylor, that's the one thing they could say about Vito. He goes out there and he gives everything he has and he gives his best effort. When you got a guy where you have to deal with guys who are known to do drugs and known to be in that situation, maybe they're a big draw. Maybe you look the other way. Maybe you don't say anything. But you're putting, it's like the writers or the booking committee allowing the guy to wrestle in this capacity, or the the trainers or the doctors allowing this to go on. They're at fault because they're not thinking about the safety. Today's market or yesterday's market, you had the big stars with the big names. They looked the other way because they were drawing big numbers and doing big things in the ring. Now, Vin, you worked, I mean, here's what we were talking about in the beginning of the show, people. There are a lot of things that Vince Russo could say on air, and there's a lot of things that Vito LaGrasso could stay on air that will rock your world behind the scenes, and we probably could talk about a lot of things. We don't do that because that's not our thing, and that's not what we want because that's not what we're about. We're giving you a perception and an analytic view of what happens. And guys, it's just like anything else. People, bosses look the other way at jobs. and they turn their heads at certain things because you're making money. If you're not making money and you go in the ring messed up, they're the first ones to jump on you and get rid of you. If you're a hardworking guy and they know that you can carry the ball and say, hey, listen, you got to go a little easy tonight. He's a little injured. Can you take care of business? Of course, you're going to say yes, you're going to do it because the boss came over and asked you to do it. Like the situation you're put in? No. But not to lose your spot and not to lose um, your any money or any road trips or any earnings you could possibly earn, you go ahead and do it. A lot of times, the bookers or the promoters or anybody out there, they would reward you by giving you more shows or a better spot or doing something better. For the guy who doesn't take care of himself, I mean, they're going to milk the guy as long as they can. And there are a lot of wrestlers out there who everybody knows about problems, and they were big stars in their heyday. And everybody has seen it. Some have rectified their lives, and some have come to the point where they said, hey, this is not working no more. I got to change. And it's up to the person to change. It's not the writing team, it's not the booking team. But the thing that stinks is that it's not the person's well-being that you're worried about sometimes. It's the big picture where you're making money and you're doing the big thing. And a lot of times that's overlooked. I could say a lot of things because I've seen a lot of things in the back, and I could say a lot of different situations and a lot of different organizations. But to sit here and criticize anybody, I can't because I was in the rotation. So, and I accepted for the business that we were in, and I didn't bury or punish the business for that. Put it because it's a certain code, it's a certain ethnic, it's a certain way of living, it's a certain thing you have to do to survive in wrestling. And that's not a knock on anybody, that's just the wrestling society. In today's world today, they do take care of the people a lot better because they have a lot more education. They have a lot more knowledge today, recently, and they're trying to do a better job of it. Hopefully, all the guys who have problems, they get taken care of. And for the guys who still have the same problems from 20 years ago, hey guys, it's not working. The heyday is over. Try to get some help.
Hey, Vito,
Go
let,
ahead,
let me
Vince.
ask you a question. Is, guys working hurt? Guys, some guys relying on prescription medication, to get through and earn their pay and not lose a spot. And is all that eliminated if wrestling is unionized? Does all that go away?
I think that if you have a union and you have a structure in that capacity, that takes away a lot of the fear and anxiety of you losing your position. Case in point, the NFL, they have a great policy. You go on injured reserve. You don't lose your spot on the team. You still get paid your money. You have the health benefits. You have everything you need. You don't lose anything. They can't fire you or take you out of the rotation. But in the long run, they are looking out after your safety as a human being, your health as a ball player. Same thing in baseball. You're hurt, you go on the disabled list. You get better, you come back. They send you to rehab. They do your things, and it's all unionized. It's all contract stuff, and a lot of places don't offer that in the wrestling industry. But that's where a union would be something that could benefit the whole industry and not just for the top guys, for the bottom guys as well. And I think if you did away with the paranoia in wrestling, I think that you would have a better product and people could be more themselves instead of being robots and having to go out there and do things maybe they don't want, or maybe have to think twice, or maybe they could be more relaxed. And I think it would be, if you're at ease where you work, I think you'd be able to produce better instead of having to worry all the time.
Well, I think, bro, I can tell you this. I think it's a very, very, and I think you would agree with this. I think it's a very, very fabricated society at the WWE. I think they want you to feel that fear. I think they want you to feel that paranoia. I think they want you to be afraid of losing a spot. And I got to tell you, bro, I can honestly sit here and say, and I think a lot of guys that worked during the Attitude Era, I don't think it was like that back then. And bro, I think a lot of it had to do with, myself and Ed Ferrara. Like we were legit writers. We weren't from that old school with the old bookers. If so and so gets hurt, now he goes to the bottom of the barrel, or whatever. I mean, we weren't of that ilk. And I mean, we really did look at the individuals as human beings, as fathers, as husbands. I mean, that's the way we really looked at it. But I think a lot of the paranoia that you talk about, I mean, I think without a shadow of a doubt that's orchestrated, and that's built into the wrestling culture and always has been. I mean, it's nothing new, bro. But on the other side of the coin, Vito, like it blows my mind how, we're heading into 2018. Bro, there's gotta become a point where the boys smarten up. I mean, I don't think the boys really understand the strength that they have and the position that they're in. That if one of the boys gets royally screwed some way or another, guess what, bro? We're boycotting Monday Night Raw tonight. The show's live. The show is on in 2 hours. What are you going to do, bro? I don't think they understand the power that they have. Why don't they understand that, Vito? Like, as a writer, I used to say that all the time. Like, if John Cena was getting screwed, for argument's sake, and the Office was screwing Cena royally. Cena was hurt. They were making him work. Whatever the case may be, the unity of the boys and the women, if they stood up at that point and said, "Oh, well, you got a show in an hour and none of us are going out and performing," what the hell's Vince McMahon going to do? Is Vince McMahon going to fire the entire roster? No, bro. Vince McMahon has to put on a show in 2 hours. But I don't understand. Is it that it's such an independent contractor mentality that these guys really don't understand the strength that they may have in numbers?
Well, one thing I'm gonna say, like you just said, like when you and Ed Ferrara were writing and you treated everybody like a human being, all right, but you didn't know what they did in their personal time.
Right.
You could treat people as people, and you could be cordial, and they'll put on that facade for you.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know how they're going home, and you don't know how, because you're the boss, they're the worker, they come to work, they go home, but you don't know what goes on. So, like, I'm not saying that you're naive,
No,
but you
bro,
don't
and
know.
no, Vito. Not only did I not know what was going on, I didn't want to know what was going on. So you're 100% correct.
And, to say that, if one, Kevin Nash, remember the night Kevin Nash came out and he made that big speech about guys standing up for themselves and sticking them up for the boys, and the promoters and everybody are a bunch of blood suckers and they're sucking everything out. That was one guy who stood out and said, "Hey, this is what's going on." Did anybody follow? No. Vito LaGrasso took a stand for something. Okay? Whether it was popular or it wasn't popular, I said, you know what? This is me. This is what I believe in. I looked at Kevin Nash from a long time ago, and I said, if he can stand up for himself in front of millions of people for something he belongs, and he was right. Why can't I do the same thing? And I said to myself, you know what? I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to fight for myself, and I'm going to fight for the rights of the guys, whether they appreciate it or not. And you know what? When you stand up for yourself, people, and this goes for life in itself. I was never an ass kisser, and I was never somebody who was a brown noser. I was never somebody who would just, hang around with you because I can get something or get somewhere or be a jock sniffer. Vince Russo was my boss. When before we were bought, I was his employee. We were friends, and I helped him. He helped me coming up the ranks. When he had a chance and power, he gave me a job. It didn't matter if he gave me a job and he was going to push me to the moon. If I could not perform, it didn't matter how much he pushed me. It mattered how it was going to look. I carried the ball. I got the job done. I did everything in power. So my friendship opened the door, but I had to do the work. And people think in the industry that if you hang around or you're buddies with people or you're with the clique or you're with this or with that and you group together, guys, there's only so few of those left. And the business is so not like that no more. It's not old school like that. Like you take the Click, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Kevin Nash, X-Pac, Road Dogg, Billy Gunn, Scott Hall. When you had NWO, you had Scott Hall, Nash, Hogan. You talk about the biggest cliques. You had the Four Horsemen who ran together. Talk about a strong group with strong personalities and had that politic and power in the back. Guys, if you guys stuck together in today's society, the way the politics are today, you would have a better future for yourselves and you wouldn't have to live in fear, you wouldn't have to worry, you wouldn't have to do anything. But is there that one person who will come out on Monday Night Raw, sit in the middle of that ring, interrupt the opening segment of that program, and be secure that he'll have a job after that? There isn't one. Try and risk it? No, because they're going to get fired and they know it. If there was 50 guys going and making a statement, now you made a statement as a group and you have unity. It's tough to fight for a union. It's tough to fight for your rights. It's tough to fight for health care. But if someone doesn't do it, then you never know. You know what? I took that fight on. I'm cool with it. And throughout some of the past couple of years, people have mocked me. People have said this. People have that. But you know what, guys? I made strides, and I made something relevant, and I made something effective. So you know what? When you guys look at me and you say, he's looking for this. He's looking for that. How about I'm looking for equality and benefits and a better way of life in the wrestling industry so everybody can get taken care of and not just one person. So for Kevin Nash showing me the way, to Vito LaGrasso doing his thing, and if anybody else follows on, hey, great, you're doing something for your family. In today's society with the WWE and the way the concept is, it's paranoia and it's nervousness. And you see it in the performance because they're nervous. They don't want to make a mistake. Every line has to be perfect. You can't ad lib. You have to be on point with what's written on the sheet. You can't freelance it. And it's the product sours when you can't be yourself. It's not the Attitude Era with The Rock or Steve Austin or Shawn Michaels or some of the great mic people that were out there, or even a Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash is a great talker, and he could talk and manipulate the crowd and do his thing. But he made his point. Some people can't talk. Oh, Paul Heyman is a great talker. Vince, you know this. You've sat with the best of them. There are guys who could talk and make a point, and guys who can make a point and have it, make it real. To standing up for yourself, nobody wants to take that chance to make it real, and that's what the problem is in wrestling.
Yeah, that's a great point, Vito. All right, man. Thanks for that, and thanks for the wisdom, and thanks for everything you're doing, bro. Give us everything that you got going on these days.
Well, I'm going to tell everybody what's going on, and guys, I know everybody knows my wife has been very ill past few weeks, and the Big Vito brand took a break because family first. My wife comes first, and wrestling, really, doesn't make it make or break me. We're going through some issues with some healthcare problems. She's been dealing with her stuff. It's been very tough to watch. We've been 3 years. She's been very sick, and then when you have a stroke and you can't make your way, things get a little tough. So we're dealing with that. This week we're probably going to come on and we're going to come back to the Big Vito brand. Catch it on YouTube at the Big Vito brand, prowrestlingtees.com/the Big Vito brand. We have Twitter, and like Vince said, I might only have 787 followers, but I think I have 787 listeners too. So I'm doing strong numbers, you know? And that's because people, wrestling, I took a break from wrestling and it didn't matter what I had because my real life came first. So I'm good with it. We have Facebook at the Big Vito brand. And of course, we have this show, Getting Color with Vince Russo and Vito LaGrasso. That's doing a great job out there to let all the people know about what we're doing in life and what we're doing in wrestling. And just remember one thing, people. We're not bashing. We're not crashing. We're not trying to brown nose or get a job. We're just telling you like it is.
All right, Vito. Thanks a lot, bro. As always, I mean, just thanks, man. Just thanks for the insights. Thanks for the honesty. Thanks for being a friend. We're all praying for your wife, bro. I'm going to let you go now because I appreciate the time. But
hold on, Vince. She's standing right here. She wants to say hello.
Oh, God.
You going to say hello?
Oh, God. Okay, bring her in.
Hold on 1 second. Guys, for the first time on Getting Color, my wife here. Come here, babe. All right. Get yourself here. Yeah, she's got a slow walker, people. It's slow. I'm trying to get new wheels for it.
There's Miss America.
So, there she is. There's everybody. There's my wife.
Ah, there it is. There it is.
Best husband in the world.
So, you have anything you want to share here,
bro? She's all over.
Making your appearance?
Bro, she's all over you like a cheap suit. Headache or no headache, bro. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it works. It works at night.
Yeah, give us. We want to hear.
Babe. Go ahead. Give us some verbiage. Go ahead.
Thank you, everybody, for sending us nice messages when I was in the hospital. I appreciate it.
All right, that's the LaGrasso family.
We appreciate you, and we are all loving on you and praying on you guys.
Thank you very much, Vince. All right, guys, it's the Big Vito brand signing off. I hope you enjoyed this real life segment. Take it to heart. You know, family first, wrestling second. Vince, I'll talk to you tomorrow, okay?
All right, Vito. Take care, man. God bless.
Later. Bye-bye.
All right, everybody. There you have it. The honesty of Vito LaGrasso, which I love every week, bro. That's why he's a part of the brand, and that's why he's a part of the show. There's no frills. There's no bitterness. There's no angles. There's no attempting to get over. There's just Vito, man. That's the first guy. That's the guy I met, many, many years ago, and he's still that same guy. I got a couple of notes I want to make. I want you guys to please go to collarwandelbowbrand.com. That is the high-end apparel line founded by Al Snow. And I say high-end, but the prices are very, very, very reasonable. And they got some beautiful quality shirts over there. Check them out. Go to collarwandelbowbrand.com. I also want to let you know tomorrow I'm going to have a very special show with a very special announcement. A lot of things I want to say tomorrow. I've been kayfabe on a few things, but it's time for me to let you know what's going on. And tomorrow will be that day. So I hope you enjoyed the show today. I hope you tune in tomorrow. As always, thanks for all your support. And I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Good night, everybody.